We're coming up on 4,500 subscribers to the channel. No, I don't want to talk about that. Hi everybody. I want to share with everyone how I ended up in an ambulance as opposed to a van or a Jeep or an RV. You know, why am I in an ambulance and why did I choose it? So way back several years ago, when I started looking at people that were living a nomadic lifestyle, like a lot of you, I'm sure, I was watching videos, reading, and I was attracted to the mobility of a van as opposed to the thought of having like a Class C or a Class A RV. I liked the idea of being able to be mobile and get into some out-of-way places that I possibly or probably couldn't reach if I was in a larger RV. I started looking at vans, Ford Transit, ProMaster. I was looking at used Ford Transits. I wanted the extended wheelbase, high roof model. If you've looked at these for sale, you know they're not cheap. These things are expensive. You know, they're not very old. Obviously, I didn't want to buy one with hundreds of thousands of miles on them, and I wanted it to be in good condition, and they were costly. I can't remember exactly. This was, you know, several years ago now, but they were expensive enough that I was getting turned off on the idea. Not only because of the cost, but the combination of the fact that after spending that amount of money, I had an empty shell, an empty van. You've looked in the back of these cargo vans. They were used for hauling cargo, typically, and the backs of them are empty. Sometimes they would just have a bare metal floor that would, you know, be all scuffed up and all that, as expected, or they would have a plastic floor liner in them. But for the most part, these things were just an empty shell. So I'm going to spend a lot of money to get an empty van. And so, okay, I'm thinking that's what people do, right? You get a van and you build it out and you make it your own. This is where I had to kind of get honest with myself. I'm not a cabinet maker, woodworker person. Mechanical things, electronic things, that's something I've had experience with for, you know, decades, and I'm comfortable doing mechanical and electrical work. Woodworking is just something that I've never had a lot of experience with. Knowing myself and my skill set, I had to be honest and say, if I get an empty van that requires, you know, build out, I'm not going to be good at it. My desire to have things to a certain standard as far as fit and finish, I knew that I wasn't going to be able to build cabinetry that would meet my ingrained standard that I like. I like things to be that look nice and are high quality, functional, and I knew that if I went to work on trying to build cabinetry, counters, shelving, things like that, that I would really struggle. Especially I would really struggle to get it built to the standard that I want it to be. By being honest with myself about that, that's when I quickly steered away from looking at buying a cargo van and building it out. I hadn't yet started focusing on an ambulance, but I was less and less thinking that I was going to get a cargo van. Not only do I not know how to do woodworking well, I didn't have any of the tools necessary. You know, I was a homeowner, so I had a circular saw, I had a jigsaw, you know, drills and things like that for minor projects. But to start from scratch, design and build to a high standard wood products, I would have failed. I would have probably taken tremendous amounts of time to do it. I probably would have had to do it 1, 2, or 3 times because I wouldn't have been happy with the result. I would have had a really steep learning curve to be able to do woodworking and cabinet making correctly. I was starting from basically zero and would have had to get to a really high standard in a short period of time, and I knew that I was not going to be able to do that. After kind of being soured on the idea of a cargo van, I looked at RVs. I wasn't really thinking about a Class A, and at that time I was just getting familiar with the terms and the different types. I just knew that something that was the size of a Class A was not something that I was interested in. It was too big and, kind of way overkill for what I was thinking about doing. So I was looking at Class C's, a little bit of looking at Class B's. This is when the Class B's were just starting to really become popular. You always had road treks, vans of that nature, and I wasn't really interested in those because to me, I wasn't really a fan, wasn't something that I was interested in. What I was getting at was this was just about the time that the van build out was becoming commercialized. So there's a lot of companies now that will build up Ford Transit, Sprinters, ProMasters, and turn them into your weekender beautiful setup with everything you need to go out and do some great camping. This was just as those were starting to happen, but they weren't anywhere near as commercialized as they are now. The market was not flooded with Class B upfits as of yet when I was doing my research. I liked the idea of having one that was pre-made, but that was quickly dashed by looking at what the cost of these things were. And today you can spend $140,000, $150,000 on a built-up van is basically what they are. The Winnebago Travato, I see those out here, and every time I see one of those, I'm like, wow. I mean, it's a really nice looking rig. I was looking at the Winnebago website to make sure that I had the pricing and all that correct. I came across, there's a new player in the market now. It's the Winnebago Echo, EKKO, and this thing, if I'm not mistaken, it sure looks like they copied an ambulance body. It looks like an ambulance that has been geared up. This model, they're calling this a Class C, and it starts at $163,000. I could have 6 of my truck for the cost of one of those. That Echo is very interesting to me in that it strikes me as it looks like an ambulance. I've kind of become soured on buying a cargo van and upfitting it. The built-up Class Bs, the manufactured Class Bs, too costly. Then I was looking at Class Cs, and from all the reading I did, I quickly found out that a Class C was not going to respond well to 365 days a year of use. I've said this in other videos, RVs are made for vacations. They're made for weekend trips. They're made for a 2-week trip out for camping, and then you bring them back home and clean them all up and take care of any maintenance needs that might happen, and you park them till the next time you go on vacation. That's what they're designed for. And in that context, I believe that those machines, Class A, Class C, that they will last a long time if you keep up on the maintenance. But if you're going to use one of those 7 days a week, 24/7, 365 days a year, you're going to quickly find that they're going to not stand up to that well. And I see it out here. I've spoken with a lot of people, owners, and their rigs are really suffering. There's no downtime, so there's no downtime to keep them in top condition. You scrape something, you bang and you rip off a molding. Any damage that you suffer in your RV, it's not like when it's parked in your driveway. You can't take it to the RV repair center as easily when you're living in it 7 days a week. So I see it out here that the manufactured RVs, they suffer when people are using them full time. You got to stay up on the maintenance. And that, to me, was a big reason to not look at getting an RV. In the mix of all of this research and reading and video watching that I was doing, ambulances started to really appeal to me because of having a good base to start with. So I talked about how I'm not a cabinet maker, a shelf maker. It's not my thing. An ambulance already has all that. And that started to really appeal to me because my shortcomings of being a woodworker were already addressed in an ambulance. Add to that the fact that ambulances have some electrical systems already built into them, and that really interested me because I love working on electrical. I've been doing it for many years, and I'm super comfortable with it. I did have a learning curve when it came to the inverter setup in this truck, but I was able to grasp it. Once I did a little bit of reading and figured out how it worked, I was able to grasp it pretty quickly. So the fact that an ambulance already had some electrical systems built into them, I liked that because I had something to build off of. But it was mainly the fact that the cabinetry was already in place. So what I couldn't do because of my skill set was already done for me. The interest that I started to have in an ambulance was kind of bolstered when I was looking at what they cost. So like I said earlier, a van, a cargo van, an empty cargo van in decent condition with decent mileage, $20,000. An ambulance in decent condition with decent mileage, $6,000. And the cabinets are already there. So that was very attractive to me. And I've had many conversations via Instagram or email with people that are buying rigs still today for a very reasonable cost. You all know that I spent $6,000 on my rig, and other than a pair of front shocks, ball joints, and front tires, it's just been regular maintenance. You know, the suspension bushings for $25, oil changes, air filter changes, fuel filter changes. So I got a very robust and, you know, in good condition vehicle for $6,000 that already had cabinets in it. I think that my interest in an ambulance is probably shared by a lot of you, that they already have a lot of stuff built into them and that the cost is not super high. Those two factors right there are the main reasons that I chose an ambulance. I can't make cabinets. An ambulance already has cabinets. I didn't have Howard Hughes money. An ambulance doesn't cost a lot of money. So those two factors are the main reasons that I kind of focused in on buying an ambulance to convert. If you look at my rig the way it's set up now, I've done minimal structural changes to the interior as far as the cabinetry. I removed the attendant seat that was basically right behind the camera. It's where my floor refrigerator is. There was a large attendant seat that was removed. There was a lot of cushions over here because this was a seat here. So those cushions have been removed. The fold down tabletop that was here, I had to remove to put the stove in. I added this shelf up here for the microwave. I added a piece of plywood on a piano hinge for the bed. But other than that, I haven't changed structurally the inside of my rig. And that was really what I was looking for. So my limited skill set in working with wood fit right in to what I so far have wanted or needed to do inside the truck. I've only needed or wanted to do minimal changes. I have been able to do those to my standard successfully. So this worked out perfectly for me. Moving forward, I do believe that I am going to make one change to the inside here that's kind of major. I want to remove this corner cabinet which houses the air conditioner up top and the heater down below. I don't use those. I've only used the air conditioner on a handful of occasions, and I've never used the heater. The truck has to be running for both of those systems to work, as you all know. So that cabinet, I want to remove the air conditioner, remove the heater. The cabinet is being used right now for my freezer and my clothes storage in some bins. So that corner will be the first, I think, major cabinetry change in the truck. Am I looking forward to doing it? I'm looking forward to the result. I'm not looking forward to doing the work, but to get to the result, I've got to do the work. So I'm motivated to do it. The biggest hurdle I need to get over to do that corner change is the AC and the heater, is to get rid of them. For me, the ambulance was a good choice. It was a great choice. It gave me the cabinetry. It filled in the gaps in my skill set and allowed me to work on things that I enjoy working on. The electrical system, I really enjoy working on electrical systems, and there's plenty of opportunity in an ambulance to work on electrical systems. If you're in your decision phase still, I hope this video helped. That was my thought process in making my decision, as I talked about, that an ambulance really fit my needs well and has continued to fit my needs very well. Thank you all for stopping by and watching the video today. Everybody take care, be safe, and we'll see y'all real soon. What you doing? Huh? Cleaning your paws?